Hello, everybody. Mr. BadMae here, and it is 1.60 update day. I don't know if you guys are all excited. I am, namely for a couple of things here, but I wanted to jump in and go through all the changes. Here's a recap. We'll just go from the bottom of the top here, and then I'll jump up and go through the SES blog from top to bottom, kind of give you guys my input on each of the changes, what it means to us as ATS players, and some of my feedback as to what could be improved or what direction I hope SCS takes some of these changes. So, get into it. First off, we've got the UI UX changes. These are probably the two most controversial changes. The expanded arrest mechanic, maybe a little bit early. Stick around and I will let you know why I think that is. And then the job detail widget. We're getting in the world of, hey, there's an app for that. Hey, there's a mod for that. Well, now there's a widget for that. So stick around. I'll let you know my thoughts on that and what I think SCS could do to better improve them. The game radio, I quickly read through this a little bit ago, and their intention here is to have a more curated radio experiences, kind of similar to what FarmSim 2025 has. So it'll be the same tracks on loop, unlike the streamed radio channels, which does mean if you're playing offline, these radios will likely still work, which is good. And then there is one radio station in there that is dedicated to content creators with the attempt or intention, I should say, of avoiding YouTube and Twitch like DMCA and copyright strikes. And then the two most important changes, in my opinion, are the lighting tweaks to the world and the improved material system. So the lighting tweaks kind of works hand in hand with the improved material system. They've essentially injected more light into the world as a whole, and this affects every aspect of the game. Um, we'll jump in and talk about it here in a minute, but I do like what they've done with it. And then the improved material system, you guys may have seen this back in the December 2025. Yeah, 2025 SCS stream. This only affects the Mac Anthem and the Western Star 49X today. They will be rolling this out to the rest of the base trucks. It will be up to the modders, right, to improve their own trucks, of course. Um, but yeah, we'll jump in and we'll look at that. And then we're getting some new paint jobs, namely for the Kenworth for TourAmerica, celebrating 250 years of the United States, and then player company paint jobs for ATS. So in ETS2, they already had this, but essentially, when you create a profile, you select one of the icons, aka companies, and then each one of those companies will have paint jobs for the base truck and the base trailer, and they'll pair up nicely. So we'll just jump into it. Let me get up here to the top. All right. So first up, they talk about the radio. This is kind of what she looks like. You have your radio streams, which is like your trucker FM, your simulation radio, that's all over there. So you didn't lose anything. You have your music player. So if you want to run your own curated list, you can do that still. The new addition here is the game radio. Again, these are the curated channels. And you can see here, Escape is the one that they say is stream safe. So I'll have to get on YouTube later and try that out and see. With the radio, they also added a new widget. Um, right here, you can see your radio widget. Now, some of you guys may like this. You can see what's playing. I don't like my screen cluttered, so I will turn that off myself. But if you like seeing it, it will be available. Again, that one channel is intended for content creators, so we'll have to test that. The improved material system, one of the two most important changes in this update. We jump in. This is the Mac Anthem that we're looking at. You can see the new details on the steering wheel, all the stitching, all that stuff. You can tell here the leather seat is actually leather. If we jump into one of the next things, you can see this is kind of like a leathery slash vinyl, that fake leather feeling that you feel in most vehicles IRL. And leather armrest, and then you have the wood trim that, as we all know, is actually a plastic cover. Um, Going through the truck again, more details on the diamond stitching. Jumping into the 49X again, you can tell the chrome insert, aka plastic, But you could tell that the finish is chrome, it's got a nice shine to it, and then in here is plastic, wood trim, but it's a little bit more dulled because it doesn't have a reflective surface. Nice stitching again in the steering wheel, jumping around the truck here. The stitching on the Western Star is, again, very, very good. It's what they're known for all the time in stitching. I wish they would have done a before and after on those, just so it was easier to tell the difference, but it is vastly improved. Um, and a lot of that came around because of Project Road Trip. So as they were working on the cars, they started noticing that the trucks were getting very, very dark. So they went back and redid all the lighting, which we're going to get into next. And then they touched on all the materials and stuff in the trucks also, so that whenever Road Trip does come out, we don't end up driving in the dark in the trucks. So jumping down to the lighting tweaks. So if you guys run Snowy Moon, that is broke as of today. It will be fixed, I'm sure of it. But for now, if you guys want to see the do lighting tweaks, I do recommend removing Snowy Moon, as well as any graphic mods you may have. So PNG, JBX, I'd take all those out. I would just go back to base graphics, go experience SCS for what it is, and enjoy. I know I've been doing that recently. I've been quite impressed with their new changes ever since Illinois dropped. And I think this is just going to further those changes. Maybe this is us heading in the direction of DirectX 12. Fingers crossed. We'll have to wait around and see, I suppose. But we can all hope. They did leave us a nice little before and after photo. So here's before. This is 159, and then this is after. So I'll swap a few times here. You can see the lighting, like the brightness overall changes quite a bit. But if you pay attention to the windowsill of the truck, you'll see here it's shiny. This is the new one. And if we go to 159, you'll notice that shine is completely gone. So by them injecting more light into the world, one, it fills the cab with more light, so it shines off the new textures better. But it also allows more fine reflection details off of the truck and other materials. So I very much like this change. That said, if you guys run reshade, you may have to adjust your reshades, because you may log in today and notice that it's overly bright. This would be why. Um, if you're running any kind of presets, things like that, you'd want to check those. And then if you're running any kind of like NVIDIA game filters as well, if you notice your game is overly bright, you may want to go in and tune those down. But it is here to stay. So just make your adjustments and you'll be all set. Player company paint jobs. So again, as I mentioned, selecting your company now gets you a unified paint job for every base truck and every base trailer. S what ATS2 had this already. ATS is now getting this. So this is one, what is it, curtain side, and then you got your dumper, nice little dry bulk, chip van, and then here are the 250 anniversary of the Kenworth trucks. 250 of the 250 anniversary of the United States on the Kenworth trucks. So the W900 supported and the T680 is supported. Now, getting into the more controversial changes, the job widget details. Now, I do think they are headed in the right direction with this. However, it is definitely aimed at console players as of today. Unfortunately, what this means is this job detail widget, as you can tell, they have their GPS currently hidden. But if the GPS was here, the GPS would come up to about here. And then this chunk they have enabled would come up to about here. And then you add your radio, it would come up to about here. And then, add whatever else, right, it's up here. So you've lost your entire right hand side of the screen to widgets. Now, if SES is listening, what I would love to see them do here is to give the players options or give the player agency over how this works. So currently, what's happening is it's a stacked system, right, by default, and we can't influence that at all. It's just stacked. If you guys remember, before the F1 screen, right, which is what they had in 159, 158, you pressed F1, you could see your job. That was okay. It wasn't perfect. It was far from it. But before all that went into place, you used to be able to see your job details here in the GPS area, and that was great, right? So if you SCS could give us an option to stack the widgets as they currently are, or to, integrate the widget into the GPS, that would be even better. And what I mean by that is just simply replace the GPS map with the widget that we chose, right? So we press like F7 or F8 or whatever the button would be. We push that button, it changes our GPS to say this job widget. And then we can press our F5, go back to our GPS and just integrate it. So it always takes up the same amount of space. We're just simply swapping what we're looking at. If we could get that feature, that would be fantastic. Um, because stacking widgets may make sense for someone playing on an 80-inch TV, right? You don't care about those, 3, 4, 5 inches on the right. You don't care. But for us PC players, which are the guys playing the game at the moment, um, losing a fourth or a fifth of your screen to a widget, not cool. And I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. I do approve of the method they're going with. Makes sense, makes everything more modular. From a development perspective, it makes absolute sense. Just give us more agency about how the widgets are being displayed. That's my only ask, and I think that would go a long way in the community. So anyway, that's my input on that. And then lastly, the final controversial take here is the expanded rest mechanic. And I know a lot of people said, we want this, we want this, we want this. And I think the community at large does want this. It does add more immersion and more realism to the sim, but they don't want just this. Uh, with this, there should be a logbook, and there should be a logbook that the DOT and the way stations can inspect and, all that kind of stuff. So if we want to go into sleep simulation, let's go fully into it and let's make sure things are documentable and that documents are reviewable by the, said system. What this changed, go ahead and pull up one of these pictures. Now, when you pull in to take a nap, you can determine how long you want to nap, which is good. But the downside is every 14 hours, you have to get 10 hours of a break. So essentially, if you deplete your default sleep timer, you're going to just sleep normally how you always would have, right? And I think you will be fine. Um, So I don't know as if there's a huge change here. However, for people who have modified their sleep times or anything like that, this could pose a potential issue. Um, there's just room for improvement here, I think. I understand this is like the US requirements and things, and so for simulation purposes, it makes sense. Um, it just needs to be deeper. That's all. Um, Now that said, if you don't want your mandatory break, you can go in and turn them off. And as far as job trackers go for VT logs, truck books or trucky, I don't think they really care about this, at least just yet, and on the 16th of June anyways. Maybe in the future they will, but for now, if you don't wanna deal with a mandatory break, you can just simply uncheck it, get rid of that, and things should be as normal. So yeah, guys, that is pretty much the 160 update. Make sure you leave your comments and likes and all that stuff. Let me know what you guys think of it. Are you enjoying the new lighting system, the new material changes, all that stuff? What do you think of the new radio? And yeah, give some feedback on the job widgets, right? Let's leave all those comments, things down below. Let me know what you think. And until next time, guys, be safe, take care, keep on trucking, and I'll see you in the next one.